Unhappiness rarely announces itself as sadness. It appears as friction, a quiet resistance between you and your own life. You do what is required. You stay responsible. You keep moving. And still beneath the surface tension keeps humming. That is the paradox. Most people try to calm the inside by rearranging the outside. A better timeline, a cleaner relationship, more predictable people, more obedient circumstances. But peace built on conditions is rented peace, and the world can raise the price whenever it wants. So you are not miserable, but you are never fully settled, slightly restless, easily irritated, quietly disappointed without clear evidence for why. You keep telling yourself the feeling will pass when circumstances improve, when life becomes clearer, when people become easier, when the future becomes more cooperative. But life does not stop moving just because you want stability. People shift, plans fail, bodies tire, timelines break. If your peace depends on external order, then you are living in permanent negotiation with instability. That is why it feels exhausting. You are asking life to provide something it was never built to guarantee. This is where Stoicism begins. Not with a hard face, not with emotional theater, with precision. Epictetus built everything on one severe distinction. Some things are your jurisdiction. Most things are not. The moment you blur that line, friction begins. Most unhappiness is not tragedy. It is misdirected effort, trying to carry what was never yours to hold. Other people's reactions. Perfect timing. Guaranteed fairness. Stable outcomes. Approval. Control over how you are seen. None of that belongs to you. What belongs to you is narrower and stronger. Your effort, your restraint, your judgment, your character under pressure. That is your territory. Everything else is noise pretending to be duty. Marcus Aurelius gave the diagnosis with brutal clarity. Things do not disturb us. Our judgments about them do. That is not comfort. That is surgery. Because it reveals where suffering is actually formed. First the event, then the interpretation, then the pain. Most people never separate those layers. So the story feels like fact. This should not have happened. They should not be this way. This means something about me. That is where the mind creates weather. One mind adds a storm. Another does not. Meaning is the real climate inside the soul. And meaning is not fate. It is assigned. That is why two people can walk through the same fire and leave with different inner worlds. The difference is not circumstance. It is authority over interpretation. Most people confuse freedom with emotional permission. They think freedom means doing what they feel, saying what rises, following every impulse as if immediacy were honesty. That is not freedom. That is exposure. A person without a pause is easy to steer. A comment can move them. A mood can redirect them. A fear can shrink them. The Stoic move is the gap. The silence before the defense. The breath before the reaction. The small interior space where judgment gets a chance to outrank impulse. That is where dignity begins. And this is also why voluntary discomfort matters. Not because pain is sacred, because comfort is addictive. Cold water, hard work, silence without distraction, action before motivation arrives. These are not punishments, they are proofs. Proof that you do not need perfect conditions to remain yourself. Think of a stone citadel in the middle of a storm. Outside the weather is violent. Snow, wind, impact, noise. But inside a single amber flame remains completely still. That is the inner citadel. Not numbness, not detachment. An interior that is no longer for rent. Now imagine the opposite. A person with no inner walls. Every opinion enters. Every delay unsettles. Every rejection gets a vote. Every shift in tone rewrites their piece. That is not sensitivity. It is an undefended interior. Stoicism does not ask you to stop feeling. It asks you to build a place within yourself where feeling does not become rulership. So here is the blueprint. 3 protocols. First, claim your jurisdiction. When tension rises, ask, what here is actually mine, my response, my effort, my words, my stance? Hold what is yours. Release what is not. Second, strip the story. Do not begin with emotion. Begin with fact. What actually happened, then watch what the mind is adding to it. Because suffering multiplies inside commentary. Precision calms. Drama consumes. Third, act from value, not mood. Do not wait to feel inspired. Hold the boundary. Do the work. Say less. Remain clean under pressure. Each disciplined action is a vote for the self you are building, and identity over time follows the vote. A happy life is not a life without pain. It is a life where pain does not own the narrative, where discomfort does not become identity, where the world cannot easily rent space inside your mind. Stoicism does not promise a softer life. It promises a steadier one. So when friction returns, do not rush to rearrange the outside to rescue the inside. Return instead to the quieter question, what here is actually mine? Stand there, act there, build there. Because happiness in the deepest Stoic sense is not something you chase. It is something you inhabit once your inner world stops negotiating with what was never yours to control.